Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. We just made a video where we covered Kaitlyn Bristowe responding to her breakup, going farther in depth on her podcast, Off the Vine. She said, "I've never loved and respected someone more," discussing what it was like to go through this breakup and as she's going through this breakup with Jason Tartick. Well, now we have what Jason's saying, and they are both doing a fantastic job of sharing their story without bringing any bitterness or negative energy into it. It's a heartbreaking story. As we know, last week we covered Jason Tartick having a real emotional journey on his podcast, which of course is about financial wealth and independence and influencer money and content creating and all that. Well, he had moments 5, 6, 7 seconds long where he couldn't speak, where he could have edited that all out, but he decided to share with his audience how heartbreaking his story is. And now he's talking about, feeling less of that emotional hurt in the moment, but also sharing where he is following the breakup. So go back and watch the other video if you haven't, and you can see Kaitlyn talk about the breakup on her end. And again, I think this is super healthy for them. They're not in the comment sections battling it with people who jockeying for position to who won the breakup. They're just mourning the loss of their relationship. So we shared what she had to say. Now here's what Jason had to say.
Before we go into this episode, this week I have a little bit more in me than last week that I can give you some news and some updates and some tips and tricks. It's been a tough week, but it's been, it's easier on the mic today than it was last Sunday. And I thank all of you for your patience and hopefully positive sentiment. I have really stayed clear from my phone this last week in social media, and I've been doing what typically I wouldn't have done in the past. I'm not shuffling things under the rug. I'm not numbing. I'm not burying. I'm just living. I'm just really living in it right now. I think these times of just distress and frustration and confusion are signals, they're indicators for times of growth. And, it's these adversities and these changes that allow you to, either numb and bury or take power and control in growing as an individual and trying to learn and changing and healing. And so that's what I've really been focused on this week. You'll hear a little bit more about that in the recap.
And then he goes on to deliver his podcast, which we've got right here, the video version of it. Corey Wharton tells behind the scenes of his MTV reality TV career. So Jason's doing a very interesting thing. It's very different than Kaitlyn, where he's not really breaching these personal topics with his guest. He's like letting that live on its own. But then on the audio version, he's opening up and sharing the, sort of with his fan base, because people consume content to hear the information, the new guests and this and that, but they also consume it for the soap opera, which is following someone's journey. Here's the second part after that interview where he continues to discuss what he's going through.
As friend to friend, I just want to check in on you, seeing how you're doing, and kind of put that out there if you're okay giving a little update on how JT's handling the last week of his life.
Sure. Yeah, it's funny. When you said that, I forgot. We hadn't done a recap in probably 2.5, I don't know, maybe even 3 weeks. But with Blake and Giannina, we were able to do 2 recaps knowing what the episode was. No, appreciate you checking in. What's crazy, David, honestly, think about this. In the last week, we haven't talked on the phone. This is the first time we're actually catching up. Part of the reason we haven't talked on the phone is, and for anyone who has texted or called, apologies for not getting back. Everyone finds ways, I guess, to cope, grieve, just grow through these really tough times. And being as far away from that block, that phone, has been, I think, one of the best things for me. It's just been a really foggy week.
Yeah, and I think too, just the first time you've gone through something, not the first time you've gone through a breakup, so what going through a breakup feels like, but definitely not on this scope or this scale. And I know that with your closest circle, we've respected, the fact that you want to be really just kind of with yourself and away from the distractions and stuff. And, you know, I think it's been really good for you being able to catch up with you before we hit record today, you know, and just hearing how you're processing and how you're dealing with it. Like, you know, it's only for you to go through in your journey. So, you know, we're always here for you and stuff. And, you know, just want to see you, you know, come out of this, the strong, genuine, amazing person and friend that you are. And I think everybody feels the same way.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. This too, like I'm in it, right? I think I'm in it. It's a bit foggy. It's a lot of emotional swings. You know, if anybody's out there familiar with the feelings wheel, you kind of get into therapy 101. You really get to understand what feelings are, what they mean. There's just a lot of feelings hitting me. And what's nice is I have my therapist on 24/7 dial. Shout out to Jiffy. You know, one thing before we get into this further, is you said like the size and scale, especially with me staying off my phone. That's something I know that's a real thing, but it's just not. I don't know. I'm just not, that the size and scale. It's tough for me to connect with that, because what I'm dealing with in the last week, and what I'll continue to deal with and grow, is, you know, the loss of a partner for so long is such a huge part of my adult life. Best friend, you know, the dogs, everything. I don't want to get too down the rabbit hole. And
so we talked about this yesterday on the live stream. I was shedding a tear. We talked about the loss of a partner. Now they're talking about their relationship. They're both alive, but they're losing those moments where they watch Sunday football together, or go out to trivia night, or all the little bullshit things you do with the person you love. Last night we saw Gary Turner, the Golden Bachelor, really break down describing what it was like to lose his partner. He lost his partner just months after they bought their dream home, and excuse me, at a time when everything was supposed to be on the up and up, just retirement, live our life. We made it to the finish line. Now we can enjoy the rest together. And she died of a bacterial infection, and it happened so fast. So that grieving process, just wild. Well, on last night's live stream, we have a good friend of the program, Mimi from Pittsburgh, sharing how she finally bought her home after a lifetime of renting, bought her home with her husband, and he passed away of a stroke just like that. And it's so fleeting. Love and loss go hand in hand, and I don't know what it is about being on this earth that we subject ourselves to the highs and the lows of opening up to others. My only thing I can tell people that are out there, if you aren't quite opening up yourself to others, is even with the loss, as painful as it is, most people will tell you it's worth it to learn about yourself, to be exposed to a different personality, a different type of person who fights in a different way and loves in a different way. It helps pull better parts of us out of our soul. So my guess is Kaitlyn and Jason will be better versions of themselves as they move through this process, but we are watching it play out in real time. And I don't know about you guys, it actually hurts. It actually hurts when we see people that we really don't know go through this pain, because we know we've all been through heartbreak ourselves. It's the one thing I think we all have in common.
Just going through the stages of grief, and unlike most circumstances, and I'll end with this, and I think we can move on, is just not sweeping it under the rug, not trying to bury it, but just stare it dead in the face. Like this weekend, I'm supposed to be at a boys trip in Saratoga with Geneseo guys. We planned a reunion like for 6 months now, and I'm not going because I don't want to. I want to continue to just go through my journey and work towards what's next. And the idea of a distraction and hanging and partying and drinking with the guys doesn't feel like that's in my cards. So anyway, let's move on from this, but I appreciate
I had to check in.
All right, so very nice. His friend and producer, I believe, checking in with him, getting an update, and we're here to root on Jason and Kaitlyn. It sounds like they're doing some healthy things. They're going to continue to share their story. He moved, I guess, close by to their old place. I mean, life comes at you fast. I was at their house 2-3 months ago for Kaitlyn's podcast Off the Vine, and now I guess moved into a new place close by, sharing the dogs, which, if they are able to, I mean, this is what kills me, because when we just heard Kaitlyn describe how they both chose their careers and they were choosing themselves and they grew apart, and now it's like the amount of effort it's going to take to organize who gets the dogs is literally the same amount of effort it would have taken to organize date night and things like that. So again, I'm not rubbing salt in a wound. I'm just saying I can understand how even with people with resources and privilege and assistance and people that have their life together, they don't have 9-to-5s they're tied down to. He's not a doctor who's got to miss a vacation. So everything's flexible. Everything can be done on the move. We saw Kaitlyn podcasting in Los Angeles versus Nashville. Jason's traveling all over. Everything could have been avoided if it was meant to. And so you can really look at this and go, look, I mean, there's really no blow up fight. There's really nothing that got in the way that was an inevitable thing. It just wasn't supposed to work out because they had every tool in the toolbox to make it work out. That's the way I look at it. And that's no hate on them whatsoever. And again, I truly hope that as they go through their process of mourning and dealing with it, they don't listen to a bloke like me or any of you guys, because this is just, we're at the zoo looking in on the fishbowl saying, man, I feel like we could have figured this out. But obviously they had therapy, they had all those tools, and they couldn't make it work. So maybe right around the corner, there's a better person for them, or maybe there's a lot of time, like Jason mentions here, that can be spent working on himself. Let me know what you guys think, and we'll be back with more content right after this.